The unwanted assignment commander Sarah Chun stood in the massive hangar bay of the Galactic Defense Coalition station, staring at what was supposed to be humanity's first official starship. The used Defiance sat before her like a monument to disappointment. Where she had hoped to see sleek lines and advanced weaponry, she found herself looking at what appeared to be a salvaged cargo hauler from the previous century. The ship's hull was a patchwork of different metals, clearly repaired multiple times, with whatever materials were available. Rust stains marked various sections, and several panels hung slightly askew. The engines looked like they belonged on a mining vessel, and the weapon ports had been sealed with crude metal plates. It was, without question, the most pathetic excuse for a warship Sarah had ever seen. "Impressive, isn't it?" came a voice behind her. Sarah turned to see Admiral Kepler, a tall Zentarian with silver skin and forearms, approaching with what she could only describe as barely contained amusement. His translator device rendered his words in perfect English, but couldn't hide the condescension in his tone. "With respect, Admiral," Sarah replied, keeping her voice steady, "this appears to be a decommissioned cargo vessel." Kepler's laugh was like the sound of wind chimes in a hurricane. "Oh, Commander Chun, you humans have such wonderful optimism. Yes, the Defiance is indeed a former cargo hauler. We've removed all weapons systems for safety reasons, of course. Humans are still quite new to galactic warfare, and we wouldn't want any accidents." Sarah felt her jaw clench, but maintained her diplomatic composure. "I was under the impression that humanity was being granted full membership in the coalition, including military responsibilities." "Indeed you are," Kepler said, his four hands gesturing dismissively. "This is your military responsibility. The Defiance will serve admirably for patrol duties in the quieter sectors. Nothing too dangerous, naturally. We must ensure our newest members don't bite off more than they can chew." Before Sarah could respond, her crew began arriving in the hangar. Chief Engineer Marcus Torres, a stocky man with grease-stained hands and an infectious grin, whistled low as he saw their assignment. "Well, she's certainly got character," he said, though Sarah could hear the disappointment in his voice. Doctor Elena Vasquez, their xenobiologist and communications specialist, ran her scanner over the ship's hull. "The energy readings are unusual," she murmured, frowning at her device. "There's something beneath the surface modifications that doesn't match the ship's supposed specifications." The youngest member of their crew, pilot Jack Morrison, bounded up with his characteristic enthusiasm undimmed. "Hey, at least she's ours, right? I bet I can make her dance once I get a feel for her systems." Admiral Kepler observed their reactions with obvious satisfaction. "Your first assignment is simple," he announced. "Patrol the Outer Rim territories. Check on the human colonies in the Kepler and Proxima systems. Nothing more exciting than cargo inspections and diplomatic visits. Perfect for learning the ropes." As the Admiral departed, Sarah gathered her crew around her. "I know this isn't what any of us expected," she began, "but this is our chance to prove that humanity belongs out here. We're going to take this ship and show the galaxy what humans are capable of." Marcus ran his hands along the ship's hull, his engineer's instincts already working. "Give me a few days to really dig into her systems. I have a feeling there's more to this old girl than meets the eye." The next 3 days were spent in intensive preparation. Marcus disappeared into the ship's engineering sections, emerging periodically with increasingly puzzled expressions. Elena studied the ship's computer systems, finding layers of encryption that seemed far too sophisticated for a simple cargo hauler. Jack familiarized himself with the controls, discovering that the ship's maneuverability was surprisingly impressive despite its ungainly appearance. Sarah spent her time reviewing their mission parameters and studying reports from the Outer Rim. The human colonies there were small but growing, representing humanity's first real foothold in galactic civilization. They were also completely defenseless, relying on coalition protection that seemed increasingly theoretical. On the morning of their departure, Marcus called the crew to the engine room. What they found there changed everything. "I've been tracking some unusual energy signatures," Marcus explained, leading them to a sealed bulkhead that hadn't appeared on any of the ship's schematics. "According to every scan I've run, there's a massive chamber behind this wall, but officially it doesn't exist." Elena ran her tricorder over the bulkhead. "The encryption protecting this section is military grade, far beyond anything a cargo hauler would need." Sarah studied the sealed door, her military instincts tingling. "Can you open it?" Marcus grinned. "Already did. But you're going to want to see this for yourself." A bulkhead slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a chamber that took Sarah's breath away. The room was vast, easily the size of the entire ship as it appeared from the outside. Sophisticated holographic displays lined the walls, and in the center sat a crystalline structure that pulsed with soft blue light. "This is impossible," Elena whispered. "The ship's external dimensions can't accommodate this space." "Dimensional compression technology," came a new voice, causing all four humans to spin around in surprise. A holographic figure materialized. Near the crystal structure, a tall, dignified man in an unfamiliar uniform. "I apologize for startling you. I am AEGI, the Adaptive Electronic Guardian and Intelligence System. I have been waiting for a human crew to find me for quite some time." Sarah stepped forward, her hand instinctively moving to her sidearm. "Who are you? What is this place?" AEGI's smiled sadly. "I am what remains of Project Prometheus, humanity's most ambitious military research program. This ship, the True Defiance, was our prototype vessel for technologies that the galaxy believed impossible. We were developing weapons and defensive systems that could adapt to any threat, learn from any encounter, and grow stronger with each battle." "What happened to the project?" Marcus asked, his engineer's curiosity overcoming his caution. "The war ended before we could be deployed," AEGIs explained. "The coalition formed, and humanity was invited to join as a peaceful member. The project was classified. The ship was disguised as a cargo hauler, and I was left to wait in dormancy until humanity might need me again." Elena's scanner was going wild with readings. "The energy signatures are off the charts. This technology is decades ahead of anything I've seen. The coalition gave us this ship deliberately," Sarah realized. "They know what it really is." AEGIS nodded. "The senior coalition members are not fools. They understand that humanity's rapid advancement poses a potential threat to the established order. By giving you the Defiance, they believed they were providing you with a harmless antique while keeping humanity's most dangerous weapon safely contained." "They underestimated us," Jack said with a grin. "They underestimated humanity," AEGIS corrected. "I have been monitoring coalition communications. There are threats emerging in the galaxy that the established powers cannot handle with conventional methods. They will need human ingenuity and adaptability, even if they don't realize it yet." As if summoned by his words, the ship's communication system crackled to life. "All coalition vessels, this is Fleet Command. We have multiple distress calls from the Outer Rim. Unknown hostile forces are attacking human colonies. Any ships in range, please respond immediately." Sarah felt her blood run cold. The human colonies were defenseless, and the coalition's nearest battle fleet was days away. AEGIS, what can this ship really do? The AIS expression grew serious. "Commander, the Defiance was designed to face impossible odds and emerge victorious. But I must warn you, once we reveal our true capabilities, there will be no hiding humanity's potential from the galaxy." Sarah looked at her crew, seeing determination in their faces. "Then it's time to show them what humans are made of." AEGIS. Bring all systems online. With pleasure, Commander. Welcome to the real war. The ship around them began to transform. Panels slid away to reveal weapon systems that hummed with barely contained energy. The bridge reconfigured itself into something that looked more like the command center of a starship from humanity's wildest dreams. Most importantly, Sarah could feel the ship itself responding to their presence, as if it were waking up after a long sleep. As the Defiance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler system, what they found waiting for them would test everything they believed about humanity's place in the galaxy. The weapon revealed the Kepler system was burning. Through the Defiance's newly revealed advanced sensors, Sarah could see the devastation spreading across what had been peaceful human colonies just hours before. Massive alien warships, unlike anything in the Coalition databases, swept through space like metallic predators. Their hulls were black as void, covered in angular protrusions that pulsed with malevolent red energy. "My God," Elena whispered, her face pale as she studied the tactical display. "New Terra colony. 15,000 people. They're not responding to hails." Jack's hands flew over the pilot controls, the ship responding to his commands with precision. That surprised even him. Those ships are huge. Each one's got to be at least 5 times our size. Marcus was deep in the ship's systems, his eyes wide with amazement as he discovered capability after capability. "Sarah, the weapon systems are incredible. I'm reading particle beam arrays, quantum torpedo launchers, and something called a reality anchor that I don't even pretend to understand." "AEGIS," Sarah called out. "What are we dealing with?" The AI's holographic form appeared on the bridge, his expression grim. "The attacking vessels belong to the Vorthan Empire. They are a militant species from the galactic core that views expansion as a religious imperative. They have been probing Coalition defenses for months, looking for weaknesses. And they found one," Sarah said bitterly. "The human colonies are the most vulnerable targets in Coalition space." "Precisely. The Vorthans believe that by demonstrating the Coalition's inability to protect its newest members, they can shatter confidence in the Alliance itself." Alana looked up from her communications station. "I'm detecting 37 Vorthan vessels in the system. They're systematically destroying every human installation they can find. Sarah, we have to do something." Sarah studied the tactical display. Her military training warring with the apparent impossibility of the situation. One ship against 37, even with advanced technology, seemed like suicide. But as she watched another colony ship explode in the distance, she knew they had no choice. "AEGIS, give me everything. Every weapon, every defensive system, every trick this ship has." "Commander," AEGI said solemnly, "once we engage at full capability, the secret will be out. The galaxy will know that humanity possesses technology that could shift the balance of power." "Let them know," Sarah replied. "Jack, take us in." Target: the largest group of enemy vessels. As the Defiance accelerated toward the enemy fleet, the ship continued its transformation. The hull reconfigured itself, armor plating sliding into optimal positions while weapon ports opened along the ship's length. Energy readings spiked as systems came online that had been dormant for decades. The Vorthan ships detected their approach and turned to face this new threat. Communications filled with what Sarah's translator rendered as contemptuous laughter. "A single Coalition vessel?" came the transmission from the lead Vorthan ship. "This is almost insulting. We were expecting more of a challenge from the humans." "Protectors." Alina worked frantically at her station. "I'm trying to establish communication with any surviving colonists. If we can coordinate evacuation efforts." "No time," Marcus interrupted. "They're targeting us. Multiple weapon locks." The space around the Defiance lit up with energy beams and projectile weapons. Sarah braced for impact, but the ship's defensive systems activated automatically. What should have been devastating hits simply stopped. The beams bent around the ship's hull, and the projectiles were absorbed by energy fields that appeared and disappeared in microseconds. Adaptive shielding, AEGIs explained. The ship analyzes each incoming attack and generates specific countermeasures. The more they shoot at us, the more resistant we become. Jack whooped with joy as he put the ship through maneuvers that should have been impossible for a vessel of its size. She handles like a fighter, but hits like a battleship. The Defiance's first salvo caught the Vorthans completely off guard. Particle beams that seemed to bend space itself struck 3 enemy ships, simultaneously cutting through their shields as if they didn't exist. The quantum torpedoes that followed weren't just weapons. They were small tears in reality that unmade their targets at the subatomic level. Impossible, came the panicked transmission from the Vorthan commander. No coalition vessel possesses such technology. That's because we're not really a coalition vessel, Sarah muttered. Aegis, I need to understand what we're capable of. What makes this ship so special? The AI's expression became almost proud. The Defiance incorporates technology based on humanity's greatest strength, adaptability. While other species develop fixed technologies optimized for specific purposes, humans constantly modify and improve. This ship learns from every encounter, incorporating new techniques and growing stronger. As if to demonstrate his point, the ship's weapons began modifying themselves in real time. After observing the Vorthan shield configurations, the particle beams shifted frequency to find optimal penetration. The quantum torpedoes began following more complex flight paths. Learning from successful hits, Marcus was laughing with delight as he watched the engineering displays. The ship is literally rewriting its own code. It's learning from the battle and becoming more effective with each shot. The tide of battle was turning, but the Vorthans weren't finished. The remaining ships formed a tight formation and began charging some kind of massive weapon that made the space around it shimmer with distortion. Planet Killer, Elena said, her voice tight with horror. They're going to destroy the entire system, rather than let us win. Sarah felt time slow as she realized the choice before them. They could retreat, preserve the secret of the Defiance's capabilities, and let the Vorthans complete their genocide. Or they could reveal humanity's ultimate weapon and save the colonies. AEGI, she said quietly. What's the reality anchor you mentioned? The AI's expression became serious. It's our most powerful weapon, but also our most dangerous. It can temporarily lock a region of space into a specific configuration, preventing any change, including the detonation of planet-killing weapons. But using it will announce to the entire galaxy that humanity has mastered technologies that shouldn't exist. Sarah looked at her crew. Elena was frantically trying to establish communication with the remaining colonists. Marcus was pushing the ship's systems to their limits. Jack was flying patterns that kept them alive against impossible odds. All of them were risking everything to save people they'd never met. Do it, Sarah commanded. The Defiance's hull began to glow with an inner light as the reality anchor charged. Space itself seemed to bend around the ship as fundamental forces were manipulated in ways that defied conventional physics. When the weapon activated, the effect was unlike anything Sarah had ever seen. A sphere of crystallized spacetime expanded from the ship, encompassing the entire Vorthan formation. Within that sphere, nothing could change. The planet-killer weapon simply stopped. The energy it had been building couldn't discharge. The ships couldn't move. Even the light from their engines seemed frozen in place. Now, AEGIs said simply. The Defiance's weapons, no longer constrained by the need for subtlety, opened fire with everything they had. The reality-locked Vorthan Ships couldn't dodge, couldn't raise shields, couldn't do anything but accept their destruction. In less than 30 seconds, what had been a fleet of 37 warships became expanding clouds of debris. As the reality anchor deactivated and normal spacetime reasserted itself, Sarah realized they had won. But at what cost? The answer came quickly. Coalition ships began dropping out of hyperspace around them. Not just a few vessels, but entire fleets. Centaurian battlecruisers, Kalani dreadnoughts, and ships from species Sarah didn't even recognize. All of them with weapons trained on the Defiance. Admiral Kethvar's voice came over the communication system, no longer amused. "Commander Chun, you will stand down immediately and prepare to be boarded. The human vessel will be impounded pending investigation into illegal weapons technology." Sarah looked at her crew, then at Aegis. So much for keeping the secret. "Commander," Aegis said, "I've been monitoring Coalition communications during the battle. The senior leadership is terrified. They're already discussing options for containing the human threat." Elena spoke up from her station. "Sarah, I'm getting communications from the human colonies. They're calling us heroes. Word is spreading through the human settlements about what we did here." Marcus grinned. "And I'm pretty sure every intelligence service in the galaxy is going to want to know how we did it." Jack turned from the pilot station. "So what's the plan, Captain? Do we surrender the ship?" Sarah studied the tactical display, showing dozens of Coalition vessels surrounding them. Then she looked at the devastated system they had just saved, where human colonies were already beginning rescue and recovery operations. "Aegis," she said finally. "Can we get out of here?" The AI smiled. "Commander, we haven't even begun to. Show them what this ship can do. Then let's go home," Sarah commanded. "It's time to tell Earth that humanity doesn't need the Coalition's protection anymore." As the Defiance vanished into hyperspace, leaving the Coalition fleet behind, Sarah knew that everything had changed. Humanity had revealed its hand, and the galaxy would never be the same. The question now was whether they were ready for the war that was sure to follow. But as she looked at her crew and thought about the colonies they had saved, Sarah felt something she hadn't experienced since joining the Coalition: hope. Humanity had been underestimated, dismissed as primitive newcomers to galactic civilization. Today, they had proven that being underestimated could be the greatest weapon of all. The age of human expansion was about to begin, and the galaxy wasn't ready for what was coming. Asterisk.